Okay, last but certainly not least, and I'm sure a lot of people are excited about this, we're going to hear from Adam Sax. Adam's the president and CEO of The Sky Guys. This is an integrated drone firm, largely committed to understanding and satisfying the sales and marketing needs of the real estate industry with drone technology. Now, Adam started his first company at the age of 13, and since then he's founded and grown dozens of successful companies ranging from internet businesses to real estate brokerages to global development firms. He's been featured in the Globe and Mail, Real Estate Magazine, and the Toronto Star, to name a few, and he's an ongoing contributor to Urban Toronto and Metro News. The Sky Guys has been featured on television programs such as Dragon's Den and Picture Perfect. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome Adam Sax and his fancy toys to the stage. Adam.
Thanks so much, Dan.
Thank you.
Pleasure to be here, and thanks so much for having us. As Dan mentioned, I'm Adam Sax, the president and CEO of The Sky Guys, and today we're going to introduce everybody to drone technology and how it's impacting the real estate market and real estate as a whole and multiple industries. As Dan mentioned, I have two core passions in life. One of them is technology. Started my first company at the age of 13 and later got into real estate. So my two core passions are real estate and technology, and over the last 2 years I decided to combine the two by creating the Sky Guys. We saw an awesome new industry. We believe that drones are a technology that's here to stay, and that's not going anywhere. We see them applied to industries across the board, and real estate was the first industry that we started working with it on, and it was great. Sorry about your beacon there. The first thing he said to me is, "Don't walk on my beacon," and that's the first thing I did. The Sky Guys is a national drone service firm, and we have an office in Vancouver, British Columbia. We have an office, obviously, in Toronto. We're currently opening an office in Alberta, and we can service all of Canada. We are Canada's first fully integrated drone company. And what does that mean? First and foremost, we started in services. So we have teams of pilots, camera operators, ground crews. We have all sorts of different types of technology that we can take to all different types of projects and service our clients' needs by collecting data, capturing amazing photography, video, et cetera, et cetera. Real estate was the first industry that we got started in. It is not the only industry that we work in. We do everything from film production, so TV, movies, film. Fortunately last year, we had a number of Canadian NHL teams in the playoffs, and we were lucky enough at the Sky Guys to cover every Canadian NHL playoff city with the NHL and Sportsnet. To give you an example, we were able to broadcast live during those events. We do specialty industries, so we work with developers, engineers for planning purposes, mapping and inspection and so on. We're also a technology company, and recently over the last 6 to 8 months, the Sky Guys has developed a technology team. And we have been manufacturing, prototyping, designing proprietary commercial UAV technology to apply to different niche industries. And our first products are launching in 2017, and we're working on a number of different really cool applications. And lastly, to be fully integrated, the Sky Guys is also an education. We also focus on education and consulting. We're launching our online university at the end of 2016, so we can help teach Canadian pilots how to fly UAVs, camera operators how to operate them, and so on and so forth. And we work with companies, government, and institutions on different ways to implement UAV technology safely in Canada. So obviously today our core focus is real estate and all the different types of applications that we can use UAVs to help benefit real estate as a whole. And you know, it's great for me to talk about it. I think it's a good idea that we play a short video and give you guys an idea of the types of footage that we can actually capture with our UAVs. Thank you very much. Yeah, so there's a lot of cool stuff that you guys can see there. Unfortunately, it was a little laggy from the computer it's playing on, but in general, all of our videos are shot in 4K, and obviously what you see is that we can capture very unique perspectives of all sorts of different types of real estate. And not only do we capture those perspectives, but we're able to actually produce those in certain ways that capture a lot of attention. What you also noticed is a lot of shots that a lot of people talk about. They say, well, how is this legal? That looked very dangerous. Did you kill anybody along the way? And all those kind of things. And the Sky Guys works very closely to ensure the safety of the public, our clients, and everything that we do. We have strict process and procedures, and we work very closely with that, and we abide by the law very closely. We work within the law. What are the laws around drone use? Well, number one question that we get asked all the time, especially in the real estate industry, is do we need a permit? Do I need a permit? I've just bought a Phantom and I want to go shoot my client's home. Well, the first answer is obviously it is yes, you do need a permit to fly. For any commercial operation with a drone, regardless of its weight, and there is an exemption, Transport Canada is the regulatory body that operates and governs aviation and drone use, and they've issued an exemption for drones under 2.5 kilograms. However, if you are operating a drone in a built-up area, any area where there's roads, public, any infrastructure such as power lines and so forth, or if you're operating a drone for any monetary purpose, any commercial purpose, if that video that you're capturing is going to be used for any monetary purpose, you require to have a certificate, a special flight operation certificate issued by Transport Canada in order to fly. It's a new industry. The government is trying to not only regulate it, but educate the consumers on how to operate and do so safely. And obviously, the number one factor is safety. But it should be known that flying drones illegally do have consequences. And right now, the consequence is up to $25,000 per flight in terms of fines, as well as criminal charges, depending if you're flying within a restricted area or close to airports and so on. So you have to be very careful about, if you are operating a drone, that you're doing so safely and you're doing so legally. And so the Sky Guys operates under what's called an unrestricted standing order, and that's something that a commercial company can apply for in each province to allow us to virtually fly anywhere, anytime. We get a lot of our realtors saying, oh, we need it, or a lot of our clients saying we need this and we need it shot, edited by tomorrow. Is that possible? And the answer is yes, it is possible. If it's available and weather permitting, those are things that can be done. So we encourage everybody, if you are flying UAVs, to do so safely, otherwise use a licensed operator. The other issue around licensed operators or hiring operators is the liability extends. So if you hire an illegal operator to fly a drone, that liability can extend not only to your client, but yourselves. So you have to take caution and ensure that any company that you're looking to hire is a legal drone operator and ask for a copy of their SFOC. Our drones can fly up to 3-4 kilometers in terms of the technology and the distance that they can fly. Our laws restrict us up to 400 feet. And all of our flight operations require our certified and licensed pilots to be able to see the drone at all times within a visual line of sight. Another question that gets asked a lot is privacy laws. What are the neighbors going to say? Or are people going to get upset by this? The answer right now is that it's very new, and that there are no privacy laws in place to protect any individual from capturing images. It's the same sort of law in effect of your cell phone. If I took a picture today of this room or outside on the street, nobody can prevent me from taking and using that picture. The same applies from a drone, a helicopter, or an airplane. Obviously, it's causing some concern with peeping toms or people looking over your backyard and that kind of stuff, and I'm sure those things will be addressed in the near future. Drone technology sells, and we see drone technology in the same way that other technologies came in and helped disrupt and add innovation to real estate. Virtual tours were a classic example of that. When virtual tours first came out, they were expensive. Regular standard photography was the norm, and eventually it became a very common theme to have virtual tours of all your listings. Now, video over the last few years has obviously become a big component of that. And what we're doing is we're creating an entirely new perspective of video that captures an audience in an entirely new way and really creates that wow factor for every single listing. Drone videos. By 2017, it's estimated that 74% of all internet traffic will be video traffic. Consumers retain 58% more information when they're shown how to do something visually. Landing pages, if you're using landing pages, we encourage that your landing page have videos embedded in it, and obviously really cool drone videos. Over up to 800% greater conversion rates than the same pages without video. And listings just do better. Listings do better with video. We see up to a 400% increase in inquiries on websites for those that use videos. All of our technology that we use to capture data, we capture it in 4K, high resolution, ultra resolution cameras, and we adapt those to all different responsive technologies and platforms. They can be seen on your laptops, your iPads, and your cell phones. It can be embedded on, some of the data can be embedded on your listings, some of it can be embedded on your website, and so forth. We showed you some examples of video. We also obviously do photography, and we're proud of the photography that we do. And these are some examples of some of the photography that we've captured using some of our units. You know, traditionally, capturing these types of photos would be very expensive. Traditional methods of capturing aerial photography are hot air balloons or air balloons, as well as airplanes and helicopters. And the cost of capturing aerial photography in the past has ranged anywhere from $1,000 to $3,000 or $4,000, depending on how remote the area was. Drone technology is very similar. The cost of drone technology using a fully licensed firm traditionally started much higher. And we're glad to say that over time we've been able to reduce those prices to provide different industries the benefit of using this type of samples in their marketing efforts. We work with all sorts of companies in the development field. It's not just residential real estate. We work with commercial real estate companies. These are example shots of real estate developments that are going on. The majority of view photography that you see for new condo developments are used by our technology and our drones. We send our drones up to every single floor, and a lot of the developments we take 360 views of all the units so that you know what you're buying and what the exact view is going to look like. We do context photography for developers to render in their condominiums and so forth and so on. We're not limited to where we work. So the Sky Guys has an unrestricted standing order, allowing us to work all the way up to the fences at the airports. However, we do work with air traffic control, local authorities, and Transport Canada to ensure the safety. We communicate with air traffic, so when airplanes and helicopters are going through certain areas, they're aware of our flights. Talk a lot about, we work a lot with social media, and a lot of, our clients in the real estate side that call us to say, we want something, we want to showcase this property in a different way, and we want it to go viral. And we work with our clients to do every best effort to capture, create, produce videos that can get a lot of traction through your social media. We talk about the drone technology and the question of will drones stay? Well, what we're seeing is a lot of the largest technology companies in the world make large investments into this space. Recently, Intel just purchased a drone company out of Germany called Ascending Technologies. We use their platform. We're actually the first company in the country to be able to be using Intel's and Ascending Technologies platform in the space, and we'll talk a little bit about that shortly. So the technology is actually the coolest part about it all. We have an assortment of different technology that we use, so we go across the world looking for the newest state-of-the-art technology, the coolest sensors, the coolest cameras, the most ability to stay in the air, longest flight times, and all that kind of stuff. And at the same time, we're actually developing our own technology to fill the gaps that we see as a service firm. And some of the technology that you will see in the Innovation Center on display is our Falcon 8, and this is the Ascending Technologies out of Germany. They've developed the Falcon 8. This drone that we operate has our highest resolution camera at 38 megapixels. We have high zoom functionalities, the capabilities of mapping and doing thermal inspections as well as video inspections. The drone has triple IMUs, which means the capabilities of staying in the air regardless of any of the processing is impacted. It has eight motors, so if any of those motors go out, it's done. Or sorry, if any of those motors go out, it stays in the air. I'm getting waving over there, so we're done. No, sorry. We have also the capability now to actually scan entire buildings and do so really quickly. So we can collect data by sending our drones in the air, taking thousands of photos, and actually reproduce those in 3D. So we can do scale surveys to scale up to 1 millimeter accuracy for planning and engineering purposes, but now we can actually map vertically. So we can take a 300,000 square foot commercial building and recreate it in 3D to scale in less than 6 minutes of actually flying in the air using our Falcon series. We also, as I mentioned, do thermal imaging, and this is something that's quite new, but also very innovative on the inspection side. So whether we're inspecting commercial real estate or we're inspecting solar or power and utilities, we have those capabilities with our aircraft. This is our most common, and you probably see this product quite often. It's a DJI product. DJI is the largest drone manufacturer in the world. It's the Inspire 1 Pro. There we go. This is our most used product for residential real estate. It's the most cost-effective product. It's very versatile. The landing gear has the ability to actually move itself up to allow for a full 360 unobstructed view of the camera itself. And we can actually broadcast live and collect that data in real time on the ground from our ground station. So we see everything that's happening as we're capturing it. So right now we're taking a lot of video of myself and everybody in the crowd, and we're able to do that with our pilot and our camera operator that are able to capture that and remotely operate the camera and the drone at the same time. So we have a dedicated pilot that's flying the drone, and we have a dedicated camera operator that's managing the camera and collecting the video or the data that they're using. It's a very cool piece of technology. This drone ranges anywhere from $5,000 to $15,000. Our new raw models are about $15,000. But it's absolutely perfect for real estate because we can get into small spaces. All the video imaging is 4K. And it's a very well-controlled system. As you see, the landing gear is now coming down and the drone is going to safely land thanks to our trusted pilot, Captain Kirk. Thanks, Kirk. Quadcopters, octocopters are multi-rotor drones, but we also have fixed-wing drones, small airplanes without pilots that we use to capture data and collect large mass pieces of land. So if we're doing, for example, if we're going to map a large acreage or a large property, we will use a fixed-wing drone to do that landscape and do it much quicker. We also use fixed-wing drones to do things like golf simulators, collect all the golf course data, collect them, process them into 3D terrains, which is pretty cool. This is an example of our mapping software that we use. We can actually look at a satellite and map out the area that we want the drone to go and do. Every mapping mission that we operate is fully autonomous, meaning the pilot is actually there just to take control of the drone if something goes wrong. The drone is flying itself through our software and doing everything we say, coordination and everything we do through GPS tracking through our software, and it's going to take off, collect the data, come back, safely land. If something happens and is interfered in the air while the drone is flying, the drone is actually programmed to come home. So we've had instances where we've had a large wind gust or we lost connection from our ground station to the unit itself, and although we sweat a little bit on the ground, we feel comfortable that that drone's going to come home to us, and every single time it has. This is a larger drone that we use. It's a DJI S1000. We use this more for cinematography purposes, to shoot commercials and movies. A lot of the commercial aerial shots that you see on TV, we're using the S1000 to capture those images. We can use an S1000. It's a bigger copter, so we have the ability to take up production cameras into the air. The larger the aircraft, the larger the camera, the more weight that we can carry. And lastly, we're also now using a DJI Ronin, which is the same company that makes the Inspire and the S1000, has now developed a stabilization system to operate cameras. So, we started servicing real estate listings by flying, and we only did exteriors, but now a lot of our clients call us and say, can you fly inside? And we have flown inside, but the space needs to be large enough to fly safely. Now we can actually use a Ronin and walk through the house to simulate a flight. So we fly all through the exterior exterior and then fly through the front door and take over with the Ronin. When we edit that all together, it looks like one simultaneous flight, and it looks really, really cool. So we recommend that if you are going to do drones and interiors, to now integrate the two together. Lastly, as I talked about, drone pricing has traditionally been fairly expensive. We've invested heavily into our resources of teams and technology to bring the cost of operating drones in residential markets to an affordable price. And here at Realtor Quest 2016, we're introducing our 2 new packages for residential photography and video, starting at $349 and $399. Thank you very much. I appreciate your time today, and I look forward to meeting everybody at the Innovation Center. Thank you.
Thanks, Adam. Just a quick question for you.
Yeah, of course.
Very cool stuff. I mean, obviously, anytime you're flying, you feel like Superman. So the videos are great. But so, how do you know if a listing is, if this is really going to add something to a particular listing? I mean, if you have that mansion you kept showing, obviously you need this drone, and obviously you can also afford this drone. But what if you've got a small place in kind of a tight little neighborhood? Are there times where the drone is actually going to work against you?
We don't think so. You know, I spent a lot of time in real estate, and from our side, we believe having the best media possible to sell a home is always to the client's benefit. In this case, whether it's a vacant lot, an older home, a large mansion, you want to have different perspectives for the buyers to see. You want to be able to see the property as a whole from above in different angles. The drone allows you to do that.
Very cool stuff. Well, thanks again.
Yeah,
That's
thank
really
you so
great.
much.
And why don't I get all 3 presenters to come up on stage just as I wrap things up here. And thank you to everybody for sticking around, David and Al. So, I started off by talking about how these technologies need to integrate with the organisms that are using them, right? And you can imagine for all 3 how a client can really use these. It's very obvious how wearing a headset and going into a space virtually is going to fire the neurons in the brain that are fired by going into a room. So that's obviously going to have a productive benefit. You can see how people with lots of questions are going to like having those questions answered as they move through a room. And you can see how clients are going to like seeing a potential property from different angles. So all of this comes together because they're going to work because they're going to work with people. They're not just showy technologies that don't have a role or a function. They're going to work. So fantastic, great stuff. If you haven't already, please join all 3 of these people at the Innovation Center. Can you go to the next slide, please? Thank you. So at the Innovation Center in the trade show area, that is just on the other side of that wall. They'll have some hands-on demonstrations. You can actually wear the goggles. You can actually try the software out with the beacons. You can see these things fly around, maybe try to control one. Are you doing that? Are people getting to fly them, or are they just watching them?
You don't get to fly them. No, you don't get
You don't need to fly them. Leave it to the professionals so nobody gets hurt. Yeah, and with that, thank you again to all 3 presenters, and thank you for sticking around. And we'll bring up the president one more time for just a final word. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks for sticking around. So I had one question for the drone guy, because my daughter, I have a drone that I fly around in my house, and my daughter is always wondering, what would happen if I put my finger in the blade?
That is not something you want to try.
I wonder that. So those ones are quite professional. Could they take my finger off?
100%, yes.
Wow,
yeah.
okay. So I'm going to keep my fingers away from those.
Yeah.
You're
they
the
could
pro.
do some damage, that's for sure.
I think what's amazing about this, and guys, thank you, Dan and the gang, for doing this presentation. I think that what we tried to demonstrate at Realtor Quest this year is that our industry is changing, it's evolving, and just one part of it is the technology side of it that is really shaping the way that we're going to do business in the future, and I think that's quite amazing. And then if you guys stick around at noon, we've got Stefan Swanepoel is going to be talking about the danger report, which I mentioned earlier, which is talking about what are the dangers involved in our business. And then after that, Luke Williams is going to be talking at 1 o'clock to wrap it up and talking about sort of how we can be more disruptive and gain business that way. So we have a really interesting show. I want to thank you guys. It was amazing. And big hand for these guys. And thanks to Dan for hosting this. I really appreciate this.
Pleasure.
All right, thanks everybody.
Thanks a lot.